We can't go all Durham all the time because there's no there.
Oh, you're gonna lose your job, shithead. How Pacino? Oh.
It's a terrible Pacino, but I don't care. We got to jump around a little bit, right? And I think, before we get into our main event, which is of course, Glenn Beck's idiocy around the Durham report or his AI stuff, I think we might skip right past that. But if we want a big dose of dum-dum, there are a couple places we can always rely. There's Glenn and Stu, and then there's the Double D gang. There's Dinesh and Debbie wearing a wonderful lemon blouse, Debbie today. And Dinesh is always, of course, dressed like his mom's sending him to golf camp. And my favorite part of this is how they're doing a show, but they just talk at each other. But we'll see, and for good reason, because Debbie's always saying stuff, and Dinesh is sort of translating her to idiot for his viewers. I think, is that what this is the implications of ending Title 42. Now, border crossings have dropped off, and there's every reason to believe that they will stay that way, because when we go back to Title 8, the standard we had before Title 42, and you notice that the spike in people trying to cross happened all during Title 42, which was largely at the end of the Trump presidency and into the first 2 years of the Biden, and there's a reason why the Biden administration wanted to get rid of it early, because it artificially jacks up the numbers. We all know this. I've explained it a dozen times. You people are smart. It's a fudgy game where they like the fact that Title 42 artificially keeps the numbers up. But unfortunately for them, it has not resulted in a giant stampede of brown people across the southern border, which they need to happen at some point, later rather than sooner, because if it happens now and then it peters off, obviously doesn't help them in the election next year. But it doesn't look like, I was even surprised that it dropped off as quickly as it did. Let's see if Dinesh and Debbie have figured that part out.
Title 42 has come to an end, and
yes, it's so sad. We are gathered here today to lay to rest Title 42. He died, never reached 43. It's a sad story. That's just sadness. But we all gathered here anyways because there's going to be potato salad, and this is the only time you get to church. Now, we're going to bury Title 42 right about now. And anybody wants to say some nice words, nobody's got any nice words to say at all about Title 42. Not a single. Ain't that a bitch? Well, I'm not afraid to say something about him. Title 42, what can I say nice about? Well, he's dead. I guess that's nice. That'll solve it for everybody. That's right now. Title 42 is gone.
the result is, well, you could say as predicted.
Yeah, by me, not by you, dipshit.
Now, Title 42 was...
Wait. You can't go back into the history. Tell us what, as predicted, and then follow that with, it was a giant tidal wave of people. Oh my God, it's an invasion at some border. Here's a picture of a people. Okay, right? Do that. I don't know. I'm cracking up. I'm dealing with these people every day. I'm turning into Herbert Lom and Pink Panther. I'm cracking up. I've only had some clear broth and a chicken leg since Wednesday.
Nothing more than the COVID Band-Aid on the porous border.
Oh, so it was porous during the Trump administration and he put a Band-Aid on it because he's a lazy fuck with no solutions? Cool. Please continue.
So Title 42 basically said that in order to protect U.S. citizens at the time of a global pandemic...
which you guys never believed was happening. So you fought Title 42 the entire time, did you?
We have to have some restrictions on who gets to come into this country, and people...
Yeah, yes. Unlike previously when we had no restrictions on people who come into this country, some restrictions, total restriction, dipshit.
who are bringing disease and
And, obviously fruit from areas where there might be the wrong fruit. I don't know why I was gripping.
posing a danger or health danger to the American people
Yeah, the health danger part. If they're just stabby, we just come on, just wave them through.
can be kept out. But Title 42, the Biden
Why is Debbie laughing at him?
administration pushed for.
Or did she just burp into her own mouth and she's just holding it? Or was that is that how she stifles a yawn? She doesn't want to get caught in the Glenn Beck trap. Are you yawning? No. I just had a thought.
Or ending
I was just remembering my dog who passed away a long time.
Title 42. And of course, they've also announced that the pandemic is no longer a pandemic. And so why have Title 42? And
yes, thanks for catching us up, stupid. We've all been here this whole time.
so now you
This is for the future, though. When people look back and they're like, what happened to Earth? Follow the journals of Dinesh. He will explain the demise right up to the rapture.
truly
When he and Debbie were left behind and they decided to join the Antichrist, because if you can't beat him,
have the border
join them.
being opened up. Of course, the word has gotten out to Mexico and lots.
Yes, the word has gotten out to Mexico that the Biden open border that was always open and just kept being open and open is more open. You think it's open now. Yes, the border. Burying me in a Y-shaped coffin border.
Of other places. And the Biden administration is like, we're on it, but they are most definitely not on it.
They're off of it.
They are off of it.
Oh, zing! Bang! Debbie coming in with the roundhouse. A quip so sharp it almost makes up for her middle school hairdo.
So it's a good thing I speak Spanish because
I don't think it is. America is an English-only country, and I quite frankly, I don't trust you. On behalf of the maggots, I don't think they can understand it either. I just feel like on their behalf, I would just borrow some minor petty bigotry just to try to win friends and influence people. I will join them in tiny moments of paranoia.
it just may become the official language in the United States of America. Sí, señor.
What does that mean? They have so much fun. I mean, you have to laugh through the invasion or you'll just cry.
Yeah, when you look at these numbers.
Oh, when you look at these numbers that have dropped off 50% since last Friday. They are nowhere near what we were hoping. So you can't just show us video of the stampedes. I mean, it should look like World War Z, right?
Staggering.
Remember Israel in World War Z? That plus Mexico.
Well, there was an article about 80,000 being in Guatemala.
What's the population of Guatemala? That seems kind of small.
And they were just kind of holding there, but
oh yeah, they were waiting. They were waiting for Title 42 to end, which is the dumbest thing they could do.
they're all coming.
Oh yeah, it's another caravan. They're gonna get here any day. They're walking from Guatemala. I can't say I blame them. Mark, thank you so much for the. I just noticed that. Okay, fucking hell.
This is very dangerous.
It is. This is not. Why is there? Who's letting this happen? I mean, it was bad enough that Biden had this open border policy. It was open borders the whole time. Open borders. They just, as soon as they came in, they just threw the border open. Anybody can come in. Anybody. And then the Guatemalans, I guess, because it was in English, they didn't understand it, so they just waited. They were like, "Why are you waiting? Why would you wait if the border's wide open?" And then they keep waiting. And now they're coming. Now that it's closed, I don't think they get it.
This is extremely dangerous. I
Oh, it's extremely dangerous. It is letting anybody who speaks Spanish into the country.
don't know if people realize that this is an invasion.
I don't know if you realize this is an invasion because you might not notice. Most people don't even notice an invasion. It's kind of like crabs. You know they're in deep shit when their problem is people have not noticed the invasion. You know, it's like crabs you notice. But, you know, syphilis sneaks up on you over decades. Just ask Trump.
This is an actual, I don't know about
It's an actual invasion of the worst kind. Women and children.
Ukraine and Russia,
Well, I mean,
whatever.
Yeah, Dinesh, good idea. Interrupt her and say something. Something's got to derail this.
and do we know any other country that allows this in this way?
In what way? With vetting and ports of entry and rules about asylum? Yeah, all of them. All the functioning ones anyways.
Where you
Invasion.
essentially, it's kind of like you're taking
Tell us what it's kind of like. It's not actually like it, but tell us what it's... Dinesh, tell us what it's kind of like.
down the fence of your house and basically saying anyone here is welcome, and then you pretend like you're not doing it. So you're destroying the integrity of your own country.
Wait a minute. I stick to the analogy. So I have this fence, and I have is it a picket fence? Am I just tricking these people into trying to jump over it because it's deceptively tall and they think they can clear it, and then so you have a yard and you have a fence and you tell people to come into your yard, and then they start coming into the yard, and then you say you can't come into the yard, which is the same as knocking down your own fence. Honest to God, I think that's what he's saying.
You're doing it for crass political reasons,
Letting them in or keeping them out?
and you're sacrificing
And you know what? It's crass. Debbie's itch.
the health and the
Listen,
safety and the welfare of your own citizens.
If you
Yeah, hold on. Dinesh, give it a rest, buddy. Debbie has something to say, and she speaks Spanish. So,
think that the homeless problem is bad right now, just wait.
because brown people are lazy, you do realize the vast majority of those folks are coming here either have a direct family sponsor or a charity that's working with them already lined up, or they're here to fucking work. Even the fucking children are working. That's the biggest scandal of immigration over the last year. Not the number of people, because the number is fucking the same as 2019 without the recidivism numbers. It's that some of these sponsors are putting these kids to work. And the White House had to respond to it, and the Department of Labor had to go around all these places and fucking arrest people. They're not homeless. They're working adult jobs in their teens, dipshit.
Just wait. We're going to have encampments everywhere.
We already have encampments, and they're disappearing.
Well, you can.
What if, this is going to be so funny. What if the trend away from tent cities and homelessness being a thing as cities try to deal with this factor coincides with Title 42 going away and immigration normalizing, and neither of these nightmare scenarios play out for them over the next year? What do you think their political strategy will be then? Trans kids? Is that it? Is that all they got? Okay.
Get a preview of it just by looking at the encampments that already exist on the
Right, yeah, and those
border towns. I mean,
yeah, except those people can't build a house and live and get a job and that kind of stuff because it's temporary. They're the whole point is they didn't stay. If they wanted to live in a fucking tent, they'd stay in Mexico, dumb fuck. They want to get indoors and have a job. This is so stupid.
I've been watching videos of El
I don't doubt it.
Paso.
I know. Well, Pornhub has a really weird search engine. I can't figure it out.
You don't even think you're in the United States.
And Brown?
I don't. You're right. I don't. Sometimes I feel like I'm in space.
Brownsville. Where I
Well, Browns, that's what we call it.
But I mean,
Well-
you've got, it's essentially the whole town is a homeless encampment.
Okay, by the way, this video that he's talking about is exactly the fucking video I showed you yesterday, or was it day before yesterday, where they were using that, where they were playing that loop of one block of people waiting so that they get processed first thing the next morning before Title 42 was ended. These people got through and they're like, I got one last chance under Title 42. And if I get rejected, I can only apply one time and it'll be 5 years between the next one. So if I get 2 chances, this is my second to last chance. And if I can be there first, they'll process me and I'll get through the line before they, if they boot me out, they're just going to send me right back to Mexico. But if I try after midnight tonight, or to the next night, which is because it was middle of the night before, if I can be there first thing in the morning, I might be able to get my claim heard, and then I might get a chance. It might be charitable to me. If I don't make it, they'll kick me out, but it won't be a mark. And so the next time I try will be my last chance to try. So that's all what that was. That's what all those people were doing. Every single fucking one of them.
Yeah, and it's going to be worse. It's so going
to be worse. It's not right now, but it's going to be.
It's
gotten better, but not in a way that I like it.
To become absolutely worse.
It's going to be absolutely worse. Maybe you should speak Spanish. I don't know. Maybe is English difficult or is just boring?
And not to mention, as I've told you before,
yeah, she's told you not to mention it before, Dinesh, and you have, and she wishes you would stop.
My cousin kind of alluded to this a while ago, and he's trying to come legally.
Like a sucker.
Thankfully. But
thankfully, he's got family in the country. Of course he can come legally. He's got options.
He said, word in Venezuela, word on the street, is you come to the border because you will be let in. Because Biden...
Yeah, but that's not true. I don't give a fuck what they're telling people in Venezuela. It's factually incorrect. And as a matter of fact, the cartels are making money on the multiple tries. So of course they're telling people in Venezuela, if you go up here, you can get through. So that people are stupid enough to fucking try again and again and again. And they're like, okay, it's going to cost you 10 grand this time. All right, next time it's going to cost you 15 grand. Okay, next time you're going to have to carry some drugs. Okay, next time you're going to have to, throw some guns over the wall or some shit.
Will let you in. That is the word on the street. And
yeah. And by the way, are those people he's talking to coming back? Yes, they are. Fucking hell.
Venezuela.
I got to say, to some degree, we always think of these, we tend to put the focus on the illegals, and they are breaking the law.
We tend to focus on illegal immigration, but quite frankly, I hate her brother, and if he gets in here legally, that's as big of a travesty. I mean, that's my own personal 9/11.
But they're not breaking the law if the law is being ignored by the very people who are supposed to administer the law. So this is the problem here, and that.
Well, that's also true. In the inverse, in that if the Trump organization, the Trump administration, when he was in office, ignored valid asylum claims just because he didn't like the color of their skin, that's also a violation of the law. And in this case, I guess you two would be the ones that don't seem to care.
Is that the government, the U.S. government under Biden, has decided to create this crisis. It's a
no, Title 42 caused it, and Trump started Title 42 because he thought it would be an automatic patch because his wall doesn't work for shit.
Completely manufactured crisis. There's no reason.
Did they start Title 42?
Reason to have it. We could have a secure border. If they wanted to, they could
Yeah, they did. That's why they rescinded Title 42 and went back to Title 8.
Secure it. They don't want to. That's why it's the way it is.
They don't want to secure it.
Well, then, if they don't want to secure it, why don't they keep Title 42 when people can try and try and try and try and try again until they get through?
And again, I'm not really sure how it can benefit America, really.
Because have you seen these people? I can just tell by looking at them that they're not going to contribute to society in a way that, like, you and I have, Dinesh. Because, like, I'm on the fence about my brother.
And it can't benefit these illegals either.
Kind of does. Kind of does. I mean, believe me, none of them, unless there was a promise of some kind of benefit, I'm guessing a lot of them wouldn't walk all the way across Mexico.
either.
What the two of these? Oh God.
Because in many cases,
Just deal with this one
they're
case.
going from bad to worse.
Excuse you. This is America you're talking about. Fuck you. Bad to worse. What are you talking about? They were living in a tent surrounded by cartel members that are involved in human trafficking and fentanyl murder and all this kind of stuff. And then they get in the United States and eventually work their way to citizenship and get a job, I don't know, working at Walmart and then become an assistant manager. That's terrible. Wouldn't you rather die?
Really. They think that they're coming to the land of opportunity, the land of the free. And in many cases, it is that. But it may not.
In many cases, it is, unless you don't speak English, in which case it's a little hard.
Be that for them. And
well, if you and dipshit have anything to say about it, I guess.
How much of a living really can you do by mowing someone's yard? Or
oh, fuck you. How much of a living can you do by mowing someone's yard? We have talked about this, folks. We have dealt with this before. And I have to admit a certain level of mild sexism on my part, where I automatically assumed that if there was going to be something shitty and bigoted, it would be said by the male. And then the female would come in and say something that's at worst, at best a watered down version of it, and at worst, her own kind of mistaken take on it. Nope. Debbie always out racists Dinesh. That's fucking amazing. Like the cruel, grotesque disdain. Holy shit. For immigrants coming across the border, that if they sneak across the border, it's because all they are capable of is manual labor. There's no professionals leaving these kind of situations. No people that have any bigger skills than changing garbage bags and mowing lawns. Fuck you. Ugh. And again, this, and they tell us only white people can be racist. The two of these, I think, I guess we should all be happy they exist to just regularly dispel that myth.
Or cleaning someone's house.
Oh God, yeah. So I guess the men mow the lawns and the women clean the houses. That's why she was covering the entire spectrum. It's sort of unfair, obviously. There's obviously good money in being a cartel hitman. And I understand the 9/11 hijackers had great money they had a lot of money in their wallets at the time, I suppose. Look at the bright side, Debbie. If you're just gonna shit on an entire group of people you've never met.
Do parents whose kids are being sent in this way know that they're going to be sex trafficked and they're going to create...
First of all, fuck you. They're not being sex trafficked in the goddamn country, dum-dum. When they are sex trafficked, it's in the process of getting here. They are plied with sex to survive until they get their asylum case heard. Unless, of course, you know something we don't, and the Trump Epstein crowd apparently are waiting for a new delivery.
Rape trees, and they're going to be in the hands of basically gangsters and
basically gangsters. Look, they're not all going to work at Mar-a-Lago.
Mobsters who can have their will with them. Is this an improvement over the way things are? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. Hey, again. Just, I'm amazed. I'm often shocked that I can still be shocked. This is, they're both very gross people. And I think it's the crisscross of gross and ignorant that amazes me.
I think so. I don't think so. In my opinion, and I've always said this.
Oh dear. I get very concerned about things that Debbie has always said.
Is these countries that are so close to us, I don't know how much money they receive from the U.S. government. I know how much the Middle East gets, and they get a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I know how much the Ukraine gets. It gets a lot. But how much does Mexico, Guatemala, and of course, I don't want to say Venezuela because Venezuela is a cesspool of corruption. And if any money goes to Venezuela, it's going to go in the pocket of Maduro for sure. That is like no doubt.
Well, obviously, because you have, I guess, family members that work with him. So obviously you're getting a cut. That's a lovely combo necklace earring setup. Absolutely.
And a lot of these people are Venezuelans coming over, but that's another story.
Why isn't it this story? You're from Venezuela. You speak Spanish. Habla español. Why don't you tell us that story? Because it would seem more fact-based than this weird game of straighten the paper that you're doing all the time.
Because they were promised some goods that they weren't given. Okay, that's why they're coming.
Oh, you mean an open border? They were promised an open border, and then when they get there, they're like, what the fuck? I can understand they'd be upset. Gee, I wonder where they heard the border was open.
That's the irony. You pointed out to me something I didn't know, which is that a lot of the
which is a lot.
People now are Chavistas.
They were Chavistas.
Who were part of the revolution, thinking it would benefit them, and now they're on the run.
And now they're on the run because guess what? That whole thing of like hope and change, it didn't happen. And so now they're starving and they think, oh, well, let's go to America.
What a stupid idea. America doesn't have enough food. Look how skinny our people are.
But no, so I think that we should have given the countries that have all of these people fleeing. Number one, they're fleeing not just because of economic opportunity, they're fleeing because of the cartels. And I've said this over and over again.
Mm-hmm. And
if you have a family member whose head is chopped off by a cartel.
Yes, you obviously, that's not a middle of the road moment, Debbie. Yeah.
I don't think you're going to want to stick around.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I think it's probably. Have you done any polling at the border to see how many people have a family member that was decapitated, that precipitated the decapitation precipitation before they headed to the border? You speak Spanish, so it's got to be helpful.
So let's fix those problems. And
yes, let's fix the Venezuelan decapitation problem rather than just have a functioning immigration system. With what? How do we... Wasn't the idea that if you give money to Venezuela, it goes right into Maduro's pocket, right? Also, I don't understand why people automatically, she speaks Spanish and she's from Venezuela, but I don't understand why people throw on a Spanish accent for Spanish words because it's not a tonal language. The language doesn't change depending on if you pronounce it with an accent or without an accent. It's not like Chinese. Nobody bothers to do that with Chinese. No, it's so funny to me. Like they'll say Xi Jinping like blah, 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 and not pay any attention to the tones, which changes the actual function of the words. But they'll jump into Guatemala, like everybody becomes like a Spanish Dracula.
Then maybe we wouldn't have it bleeding over into our country.
When you...
Yes, why, America, why won't you do anything about cartel beheadings in Venezuela with foreign aid that she doesn't want us to give? Well, look how pissed she is. What's the remedy? What is the remedy? Are we supposed to give? We're not supposed to give foreign aid because then it'll go right into Maduro's pocket, and the beheadings. Then he'll buy fresh machetes, and then everybody will be decapitated, and that will precipitate another stampede.
Think about this sordid situation. Really,
oh, your relationship, or
really, there are only two beneficiaries.
Okay, so yes, follow the money. Who benefits from this terrible border thing?
The cartels and the Biden.
Yeah, but the cartels only benefit as long as Title 42 is in place.
Biden regime, which is itself a cartel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a cartel. Absolutely. The problem that they have is that they didn't have a big stash to start with, and Hunter smoked all of it. So it's just not. It's not a That's why he bought his house with book money.
So you've got the cartels on this side of the border, except they're running the U.S. government. And then you've got the cartels on that side of the border. And those are the people who are sitting around and laughing because it is to their financial, in the one case, and political, in the other case, benefit. Title 42.
Also, how? Notice how they never get to that part. And apparently she wants us to strafe bomb Venezuela. Is that it? By the way, you're watching House Sparks Mega Worldwide. Help me. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show.